5-day faculty development program. I welcome our head of the department, Dr. P.V. Matthew sir, for a brief introduction of our expert. Matthew sir.
Thank you, Vidya Miss. Today I am privileged to introduce to you uh, our expert for the session, Engineer Rajan K. George, who has got a wide and varied experience of more than 35 years in construction industry, or close to 35 years in construction industry. He has done his BTech from Government Engineering College, Trichur, which comes under Calicut University, and he has further pursued his MSc in Project Management from National University, Singapore, and also has done his MSc in Construction Law and Arbitration from King's College, London. Engineer Rajan K. George is presently a project manager with diverse experience in the execution of deep basements, tall buildings, tunnels, etc. for civil infrastructure and building projects in India, Middle East, and Singapore. I am sure he will enlighten all the participants on the the modern trends in civil engineering and construction, especially the construction area, a Singapore perspective, because he has been in Singapore for a long time, has got wide and varied experience in the construction industry, and I am sure this will be a very useful and valuable session for all of you. Over to you, Engineer Rajan, please.
Matthew sir?
Okay, could you not hear me?
I think
Yes, sir, you are audible, but sir is not responding.
actually he's left from the meeting, I think.
Okay, it may be some net issues actually. I will just call him and just. He's restarting actually. There is some net issue, it seems. Okay, I think he has come.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, Engineer Rajan, can you hear me? Is he joined?
Not yet, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Engineer Rajan, I had just introduced you to the participants actually.
Oh, great.
And,
thank you so much.
You can just get started actually.
Oh,
okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So let me share my screen. I think I need to get the control. Okay, fine. Good evening, Dr. Matthew BV, HOD of the Government Engineering College, Kedangur. All the faculty members. So let me start my presentation with a brief introduction. I've been here in Singapore since 1993, and I worked in various type of projects, deep basements, tall buildings, underground tunnels. Yeah, and as a civil engineer, same like all of you, I've been curious how things are being built, but for other than my projects. So I don't have much tables or some data to share with you, but I will go through a lot of visuals, a lot of pictures I took myself, or the other things what I would show you will be acknowledged. If it is from some other agency or what, I'll acknowledge, and then let me take you through. Okay, so this weekend, let's have a tour to Singapore. So this is how I've organized my presentation. First is a brief introduction. I talk about land, water and wastewater, energy, the general built environment, day to day today, and a conclusion. Okay. As you all know, Singapore is a city-state. It's a small island. Population of hardly 5.3 million. And density of population is quite high. The GDP is also quite high. No natural resources, only resources of people. And the change is quite transformational. Okay. So when we are going to land to Singapore, this is what you see. I mean, if you are going through this flight path. Okay, in any, most of the major cities, you will have a Ferris wheel. So Singapore has got one. And then you can see the many buildings dotting the landscape. This the National Stadium. The roof can open and close. There is a speciality of this. And then this is a F1 pit building. The Formula One race always happens here. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is all this is reclaimed land. The land which actually used to be far behind. Maybe your eye cannot reach from this photo. Okay. So this is an example of land filling in Singapore. How land is created. This is okay. If you see here, this is something like a jetty. You can see a barge coming in. This barge goes inside. It dumps all the waste from the mainland. It is segregated and then it is filled. See here, all these are filled long progressively. Somewhere the vegetation is there. It is filled long time ago. Here, the black area is the filling in progress. Later on, this whole landform will be filled, and we don't know whether it will become an industrial land or a residential land or a mixed development. I mean, that only the time can tell. So, okay, so this is I browse on a little bit of statistics. This is what used to be the old Singapore. Very little human inhabitation. Rest was all plantations and forests, whatever, and see how it grew. From the 1960s, it was hardly 580 square kilometer. 2000, it became 700 square kilometer. So within a period of 40 some years, it has grown tremendously. This filling was basically what happened is at the center, you have very high hills. Very simple. Put a belt conveyor, dig the earth on the conveyor, and you fill beside the sea. That continued for long, but now we have a different techniques of filling. Okay, so that's what. So now you can see here, this is one of the recent land reclamation project. You can see highlighted in blue and red. The blue is already completed, and then I think there is some construction work going on. You can see here in the background, and the red is a current contract which is awarded to a very famous Japanese contractor. He's doing the work now. What he does is he's here. See here he says caisson fabrication 229 numbers. So he precast the caisson on the shore and floats it like a pontoon, and then brings it and fixes in this location all around in the perimeter. After that, we fill it with sand from which comes from some other countries. So that's what it. So what will happen once this is developed? This becomes a port, and at the moment, see, you can see a big port here. Then here you can see 3 big ro-ro, the car transport ships. You can see a lot of cars here. All these things, you can see a lot of cranes here. All these things will be shifted to here. This is going to be the Tuas new port, and then this land will be redeveloped into housing or other real estate. Why? Because this is quite near to the Marina Bay Sands, the what we saw in the before picture. So this is how land is created. Okay. This is another way of creating land. Actually, it is nothing strange to us, especially for people from Kerala. You have heard something called Kuttanad. The Kuttanad, the whole land is below the sea level. This, okay, you call it in a fancy word called polder, and they say it's using Dutch technology. I will say this is Kuttanad technology. So here we say traditional filling, use a sand berm and then fill with sand. This what we would do conventionally. But here what you do, here you have a berm, you make it higher, make a higher sea wall and reduce the land level. You pump out the water. Then you have a very nice low-lying land where you can do a lot of, mostly it's for agriculture purpose. Okay, so create land by polder technology. Okay. So again, so this visual on the left is, I would have taken about 30 years ago. This is where the Marina Bay land was being reclaimed. Then see now the scenario here, already the Marina Bay Sands hotel is up, the convention center is here, and then a lot of developments happened all over a span of time. And then even those days, 30, 40 years, still all these high-rise buildings were there. And then now there are a few new buildings here. So this is how land is created. And then you can see here, you can see a platform with some green color. This is actually a floating platform. All the National Day and then many events are hosted on this platform. So this actually photo credit goes to the Marina Bay Sands, Singapore, taken from the web. Okay. So this is one of the famous Raffles Hotel in Singapore. This is the old Raffles Hotel. Behind is the new, okay, you used to call it Raffles Hotel, but now it is operated by somebody else. It's called Swiss Hotel Stamford. The name keep on changing based on the operator. What I'm trying to say is this Raffles Hotel used to be on the waterfront. That means you see this grass and then there used to be a cart track here and then people used to go here. But now from here to go to the waterfront, now maybe you have to take a $10 taxi. It's far away. If the land is, taken away the shoreline. Okay. So this is the overall concept. Now what I'm trying to establish, land and sea. Within that, you're trying to create an ecosystem of socially, economically, and environmentally viable ecosystem, which is sustainable. So here, what you can see is, okay, say now I was trying to explain about the undergrounds, the Marina Bay area. So you will see a lot of buildings on top, but you can see this color visualization. The underground space is also highly exploited. I mean, all these colors are the commercial developments. And then all those are connected by pedestrian links. That means, you're going to go build a building here. In order to get planning permission, you have to propose pedestrian links. Okay. Then another thing is the common service tunnel and district cooling. You just note that word. I will go and explain later. And then car park. Okay. Car park means, see, like all these underground buildings got their own car parks. But then they are trying to tell about a dedicated car parking facility. And then you have in between, you have a Marina Coastal Expressway. This is a mega project, but now it is operational. connecting, going under the bay. And then if you see here, you can see a green footprint. So a part of it, on top of it, is there is some other underground usage also. And then you see the amount of MRT network in this reclaimed area is tremendous. Okay, so this is what you when you reclaim land, and then you already have a master plan. That's why you are able to build a beautiful downtown area there. Okay, so now again let's examine the cross section of the underground area. So this first picture is attributed to SP Group, which is Singapore Power Group. So he's trying to explain what are the underground facilities in Singapore. So on top is the underground sewage and underground power grid. That means the local cables. Below that, I mean, it cannot be that deep. After that, about 12 meters is all the underpass and all the malls. Then below that is the underground expressways. Again, that is about 8 to 25 meter range. Then about 30 meters is MRT tunnels. Then even below that, 30 meters, then 20 to 55 meter is the deep tunnel sewer system. This was one project. I mean, I had involved in a package. I'll explain about to you. And the most deepest 60 meters of Singapore Power electricity cable tunnel. So actually the cable tunnel is only this big. This he's showing you an expanded view because this picture belongs to Singapore Power. See, so the power is being transmitted through cables. Rather than using pylons or anything. Even inside he's got a vehicle moving on tracks, automatic vehicle to monitor all these cables. Okay, so this is another section from my infographic. What you have, the substation, bus interchange, road and rail network, deep tunnel sewer system, and underground caravan. Yeah, this is actually a confidential project. This is for storing the ammunition facility, So, and even below that is the reservoir. This is reservoir is in planning stage at the moment, is not implemented. So finding space for the future, for where there is a limited land. So what will happen is, even see now other countries also, you may have vast space, but end of the day, due to the urbanization, you will be starved for land in city centers. That's when you need to expand and also to create underground space. Okay. So again, this is what a beautiful picture. At the same time, you have a lot of underground things here. Talking about conservation, this is the Clifford Pier. This is one of the very old building which was constructed by my ex-company. It was done in 1909 or 1910, and this is a GPO building. Now it is a very highly branded Fullerton Hotel, and then the rest of the buildings, which are gracing the Singapore skyline. This view we saw already, but what I'm trying to highlight is, so you see something here. This is an underground railway. It's a new line being constructed. It will pass under this bay and go across and continue. Okay. This is the Marina Bay Sands, the 3 towers with a pool on the top. This is a science discovery center. You can see a dome here. This is an Apple, the new Apple Experience Center. Actually, this floats in water. And the city got nightlife as well. See, this is the city in light. See the illumination. But even for this also, there are some criteria. You cannot use any wild colors or like that. Everything is specified. This is again night view of the Marina Bay Sands and the theaters by the bay. Okay. So this is the Formula One. Before I showed you the F1 pit building, the night race is going on. The cars are zooming. So that's why you see these lights. This was a fantastic event which was creating lot of revenue. You wouldn't believe. Not alone the hotels. All these hotels will be full pack, and then the mobile carriers, the roaming charges generated by this this event is tremendous. And this is the theaters by the bay. Okay, so that we are talking about recreation. See here, you can see these people in the kayak. Then this is the gardens by the bay. This also done by my ex-company. And this is the F1 pit building. Okay, what I'm trying to highlight is that the F1 pit building was a pit for the Formula One racing, but now it has got an alternative use. Anyone may guess this is where we do the swab test for COVID detection. All the personnel involved in construction industry has go to a mandatory to bi-weekly mandate what do you call COVID test. So this we go for the COVID test. Okay, so this is another view of the gardens by the way. Okay, so in this photo, what I'm trying to highlight is, okay, here you can see the cruise center, Marina Cruise Center, and then already there is an MRT here, and then there is new MRT construction here, and the most importantly here, this is the Marina Barrage. That means this is the sea. Here's the sea. Sea is what? Salt water. And this is fresh water, for recreation. Before I showed you the kayaking. No, it's not so fun in do a kayaking in salt water. So we created a barrier. And this is modeled against, if you have seen the photos of London. London got a Thames barrage, Thames barrier. Similar way, you have this barrier, which keeps the salt out of this barrier. So this is again another view. So you can see the ships in the sea, you can see the barrage, and here you have this a minor some sort of a desalination plant with a green roof. Here the MRT work is going on. Okay, so this is another way of the barrage. Close up. So these are all actually the gates. Okay, even in other places you have shutters. Mostly it's all steel shutters. But this, I understand, it is something like a balloon. It's a rubber kind of inflatable, a ceiling system. Okay. That's why this what with the good water, you have nice lotus bloom. So, but this beauty is not accidental, because there is people going around, painstakingly using all these mechanisms to, use this boat to using this conveyor mechanism to, dredge and then, to skim the surface of floating impurities. Likewise, even the same, it's not high tech. Same technology, similar technologies even for cleaning the road and the footpaths. Just a tricycle, not a bicycle, tricycle, and then sweep the road, clean it in the tricycle, take away. So this is some other visuals. And you see here you have something like a floating boom, and then here you have two electric powered boats. These are aluminum boats. It goes and then it cleans the water. So you don't see any dirt because it's already cleaned. Nobody wants. The moment the dirt is entrapped here, here there is this boom, and from the boom, this boat picks and transports away the dirt. So yeah, this is another view of the boom, because the flow is in this direction. It gets caught here, and then it is entrapped, and then it gets carted away. And then you can see that's what as engineers, you just have a look at this detailing. Here you have this railing, and then beside this railing, I mean, you cannot see, but there is a footpath. At the edge of the footpath, there is something called a drop inlet chamber. From the drop inlet chamber, there is a detailing whereby you have this piping to this outlet. The pipe is actually nothing but a perforated pipe, and it is wrapped by a geotextile. And within the geotextile, there is the gravel core. So that means the water percolates through the geotextile, and then it enters the pipe sleeve, and then goes into the drain, into the water. Okay, so this is another view of the drain cleaning. You can see, you see what happened. The previous day it rained, so the dirt all cleaned away. But still there is a contract for cleaning this drain. So nobody can relax. So the contractor brings a lorry crane, he hoists down a bobcat, and this bobcat will again go and sweep this drain. Because during the low weather, only this invert portion of the drain will be filled. So this will be always remain dry. So if at all any silt will collect here, and then this bobcat will clear it and take it away. Why? Because this silt will go into the what you call the bay I showed you. Once it is silted, dredging will be very difficult. So you silt it up front. Okay, so that's the principle. Okay, so because we do all this upfront, we take care of the drains, the water in the reservoirs. Now I'm showing you a few reservoirs. The waters will be quite clean until you see now this is called a Pandan reservoir. I mean, this is the name of a reservoir. It is quite huge. You know, I went here for cycling. You can see my cycle here. Okay, so this is the perimeter of this reservoir is 6 kilometers. So you can see how much across it is. And then see here what people are doing. This they are having a sort of a floating platform here. They are on some sort of a kayak and they're doing some kayak water hockey. See, this is the goal post. So the water is being used for recreation purpose. So later on, I'll be telling a concept of ABC waters, active, beautiful, clean water. So that's what my photo is telling. So again, this is another reservoir called Pierce Reservoir. I'm not sure this Pierce Reservoir. I think it's Upper Pierce Reservoir. Okay, so this is this photo is actually in my college days, my elective was Earth and Rockfill Dam Engineering. Those days I never understood what it was. So now I went there to say, this is Earth and Rockfill Dam. And then you can see down this is a dam. People are walking up and down. And then downstream, I don't have a photo. This photo here, I forgot to put. And downstream, you can see yet another reservoir. There is a Lower Pierce Reservoir. This is also fresh water. This all water we use for drinking. Okay. Okay. So this is another. Actually, I don't call it a reservoir. This is just a catchment. It's called Little Guilin. My cycle is here. This is an abandoned quarry, and then the quarry got abandoned. But you can leave it. Then what we did was we're doing a lot of tunneling projects. So the tunnel muck is considered as unsuitable for spoil because you use bentonite for conditioning soil for tunneling, and then it is not allowed to be filled in the normal construction areas because the bentonite is considered as a contaminant, whereas the quarry bed is impervious because of the granite bedrock, so it is filled, and then actually the depth is not much. So even if somebody falls, nothing is going to happen to him. So this is called Little Guilin. Actually, on this side, there is a very beautiful rocky outcrop. Yeah. Okay. So this is another reservoir, but sad to say, this was there. It was one of my favorite hot spots. But sad to say, now this is covered up for one upcoming project called North-South Corridor. But yes, once this is filled, in order to compensate for this, there will be another greenery of this, or maybe 10 times more of this is created elsewhere. So that's how we balance. Okay. Okay. So now this is actually old, what do you call, a river or a water flowing path. You can see a lot of plants here. These are actually weeds, maybe in any other part of the world. And here also is called weeds. So this is not actually weed landscape, it's weedscape. And then you can see all these gabions. Is a very practical way of, the site protection. Okay, so this is where, all these, drains are all engineered properly. The water flows through all these catchment areas. And what I'm trying to say is, see, now people can walk, but during monsoon time, it will flood until, see, now see here you can see the flood marks. It can flood until here, but still it will be just beside here. So there's a warning. And then here, you have somewhere there is a beacon telling about the upcoming flood. So that's how you try to how to beautify the area and then prevent the floods from inundating your your areas. Okay, and then all these are based on purely engineering calculations and predictions based on computer simulation. Okay, so this this is another, this is not a water reservoir, but this is it's a impounding, is a pond, with a walkway all around. You can see the detailing is some sort of a steel leg with a fork head. And this is what do you call UPVC deck. That means sort of a recycled wood PVC deck. And this is are all some recreation areas. This goes around the pond. Actually, this is quite near my house. And all these plants are floating on a PVC close frame with some netting. It's not rooted anywhere. And then it's all just tied to each other. So what happens is there is some science, some biology to this. This we call it as immersed plant. This has got very high capacity to absorb the nitrites or nitrates or what. I mean, I don't know the nuts and bolts of it, but I can tell you where, I can show you the source where you can get this information in a while. Okay, so this loops all around, and then here there is some floating platform. This is some with the solar panel. This is some sort of sensor which will sense all the alkalinity, turbidity, TT, total suspended solids, whatever. And then it will transmit it to the public utilities board, so that to detect if there is anybody upstream is discharging any effluent into this pond. Okay, and then you'll see all these are the housing board flats. 80% of the population of Singapore dwell in housing development HDB flats. You note this is a very important thing for all the candidates. 80% of the people live in HDB flats. Okay. And you see now this is a very good view. So all these flats will command a premium price and a premium rent as well. See again, HDB flats, and then this is the community center. This is where all the people, for any events, we go there. I got my vaccination, COVID vaccination done here. My daughters got their school awards here. That's where. So let's walk closer to the community center. Yeah, and then here, this is a community swimming pool. Then you can see the gallery here, and then the pool is here. And I think the water is taken from this, and then there's a treatment plant, and then used in this pool. And then I'm going closer to this community center. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is this building sits on legs, and this water flows under this building. Okay. So that means this building belongs to People's Association. This pond belongs to the Public Utilities Board. And then there is a coordination between these bodies to allow this water to go under the building and go to the other side. Okay. See, so there is this big water impounding reservoir, and this is a pier. And see, below the building is dry because this is the holding capacity of this reservoir. And see how this column is detailed. I'm sure there is some science to it. Bottom is a bit narrow, top is a bit wider. So it's a combination of hydrodynamics and structural engineering or whatever. So you go here, you go on top of here. Here there's a bubble tea counter. And then here is the registration for the swimming pool. And then this is a gym, this is a gym. And then is overlooking this beautiful pond. Okay. And then here you can see a plaque there, Pang Sua Pond by PUB, Public Utilities Board, and say active, beautiful, clean waters. And there's a legend here. And then it is having the detailing of the jogging path, and then where the canal is coming from, and the nearby blocks and everything. Okay, so now I'm taking you upstream. So the water is contributed by this drain. I'm taking you upstream. So the people, this wall is there. On the right side is the road. And then this is a gravity wall, and then this is a bridge, very nice bridge. And then you see here there's a slope. There you can see the invert, and then you can see a very small cascade. And then this is some sort of a boom for catching the debris. So people will go there and, and then use a net and clean the drain. Okay, so we are taking you upstream. Now you see the detailing. These drains were done during different periods of time. See, now if you see this drain is at a lower invert, and then you can see a separation here, and then you can see the what do you call the gabion walls here. So the catchment of this drain is somewhere else, and then again there is another small little drain here. So all this is based on some planning and some planning permission. That's what I'm trying to illustrate. But you see the quality of water. The quality of water is crystal clear. But I can tell you, upstream there could be at least maybe 100, if not 150, minor and major construction projects going on upstream. But the water is clean. See here also. See, now you can see the water, and then here, this is a construction site. Okay, so this is upstream. This is not the upstream canal. This is somewhere else, and I'm just showing you the level of detailing involved in the canal construction. Okay, so now canal construction. Let me talk a bit. How this canal is constructed is mostly it is you dig until edge. This L is precast. You put this precast element, then this is cast in situ. Then you do this flow area, then you build up. That is the broad-based concept of how these drains are built. You can see the feeder lines, and then I talked about the concept of drop inlet chamber. So see, the water is flowing from the water is not flowing from the surface. It just flows from the subsoil, the subterranean pipes. Okay, and then you see how these cascades. These cascades are all engineered and constructed, not just based on any ballpark or just a mason decides how to do it. Okay, so this is another drain. So again, this illustration of the concept of ABC, active, beautiful, clean. See, so this is a park connector network. See, people are jogging, and then this is another. I think this is also another jogging track. So all these cannot be park connector networks cannot be seen on the Google Maps, because Google doesn't map this. But then if you can see it in the NParks park connector network. So also you can see this lamppost looks different, but because this is under the what do you call the park connector. This is, I think, under the town council. Okay, so now this is how all this is happening. This is the PUB, Public Utility Board's website, Singapore National Water Agency. So it has got various functions. This is only just one of the functions. Actually, PUB controls water, sewer. So about ABC waters. See, design guidelines, certification, ABC water professional. See, means just now we saw all this detailing. Any engineer cannot go and design this. Even I am also not allowed to do this. In order for you to do this, you have to do a course on ABC water professional. Okay, then you have to do a few modules. It's not so easy, Then you do this course, you pass. Then you will allow you to do the design. Then you have all these events, update, explore ABC water sites, the learning trail. Okay, so then certified projects. So this ABC water, now I showed you all the public projects, and then even private projects, and also you can see that, and then explore ABC water sites. So this one actually, for you all, this is a very useful site, even if it is for your own home. Even you are staying in an apartment, you want to improvise you want to create a small little pond in your balcony, or even improve your aquarium, or your villa, or your apartment complex, or your campus, or your project. All you can take information, and a lot of information is downloadable. See, ABC water design guidelines, Anybody can download this, Then see all these reservoirs, Bedok Reservoir, engineering procedures for ABC water design features. You need not pay for this. You can download it. You can use it. There is no copyright or anything. Kalang River Bishan Park brochure. All these parks, the brochure, it is downloadable. You can enjoy. This is what I showed you before. The Kalang River Bishan Omokya Park, and here there is a drop down menu, I just screenshotted it. Each of these the ABC sites you can pull down, you can enjoy this ABC Government Explore. They are opening out this for people to enjoy. Okay, so I wish you will also go down and then take a look and use it. Okay, so again, water. So now we saw the water from the local catchment, but that is only a small contribution. Singapore relies a lot on imported water. And also in a moment, I'm going to introduce you to a concept of new water. New water is nothing but old water, but recycled. And there is desalinated water. Okay. Now, we talked about what did I say? Imported water. So this is where we get the imported water from Malaysia, because Singapore is a small dot in the map and it is just below Malaysia. We have put pipelines. We have established waterworks in Johor. We have got these pipes running all the way from Malaysia to Singapore, and these are the pipes. Okay, this is I should explain this to you. What you see, this is the Johor, that is the Malaysia southern state skyline, and this is a causeway. This is the bridge connecting Singapore, my mainland with mainland Malaysia, and this silver streak is our lifeline. This is the water from the water pipeline from Malaysia. Okay, so this is what I'm highlighting here. You all must note Singapore's main water source is imported water from Malaysia. Okay, but having said that, we are trying to get self-reliance from water, from other sources, from water catchment, new water, and desalination water, so that we will rely less on imported water. How? Okay, how? So before I explain how, I showed you many parks and all that. Anywhere you go, this is also a common feature. You know what is this? This is nothing but a toilet. Okay, this here, if you look closely, this is what is a toilet. This is, I think, ladies or gents. No, one is ladies, one is gents. No, I cannot see properly. And you got a green roof over it. But then why I'm talking about this is, okay, you have got toilet, you got sewerage. And then in Singapore, we never have a concept of septic tanks as of now. We have sewerage treatment plants. That means, all these these buildings are connected to a municipal sewer and goes to the treatment plant. But now I think about 30-40% of the sewage treatment plants are also gone away. And then such sewage is treated and it becomes water. That is new water. Okay, so this is a new water, a pilot plant. It's a very small plant which is near the Changi airport. Inside the plant, if you go inside the pilot plant, you go and see. This is a very small, this is a how they showcase how they do it. The microfiltration system, then the what do you call the SCADA, the UV disinfectation, and then this is a gallery where the children can go and learn all the stages of the treatment. Okay. So this is an infographic of the untreated. See, this is the either industry or the house. Then you go to the untreated water, it gets treated. Then the water microfiltration, UV filtration, all the stages, and becomes new water. So see, actually, this is the website. You go next time when you come to Singapore, you find some time, you can book this online, and then you can pay a visit to this new water center. Okay. So, okay, so now let me show you one of my project. This is the deep tunnel sewer system. So this is it. All these tunnels are quite deep, 45-50 meter. Before I show you the earlier on, what does this do? Instead of treating the sewage in the treatment plant, it gets collected by a network of sewers and goes to this deep sewer. So this is a tunnel boring machine which bores this tunnel. Now you can see this big TBM. This is my boss and I am standing here. And then the tunnel is bored from one place to another until I did this last package until this main treatment plant, the water is treated and then it is pushed out to the outfall. Okay, so this was a handout from the Singapore International Water Week. All these photos were contributed by me. So this is the lowering of the tunnel boring machine. This is the tunneling in progress. Then this is the tunnel breakthrough. This is one of the shaft construction. Yeah, this tunneling is very common. I know even in India or any other parts of the world, there are many tunnels being done for metro and maybe few sewer tunnels also. But unique for this project was after this tunnel was done, we have to do the corrosion protection lining using HDP, the high density polyethylene liner. So this is formwork for doing that. So now I will quickly run to that and then I will show you some innovation we did in this tunnel project. See, this is where we fabricate that liner and then it goes over the shutter and it is cast in place like this. Okay, so this is the overview of the DTSS. This was my package from A to B, the last package. This is where all the reclamation is going on in my first of the few slides. Okay, and here deep tunnel sewer system. Then okay, so this was my package here. This one I explained. So the feature of this project was this TBM was lowered as a single piece. You know, it's a 350 ton piece lowered by heavy lift, and this is the breakthrough of the tunnel boring machine. Anyway, I'm not trying to dwell on this. The tunneling was finished. After that, we have to install this 6-meter diameter tunnel. We have to put this corrosion protection lining in place. Okay. So this need to be in place. Then the sewer later runs through this. The invert is not lined. The funda behind that is when the tunnel is running, it will be running at least half full. So that means the H2S will not be exposed to this. This concrete will not be exposed to the hydrogen sulfide. Only this liner got exposure. Okay, so this is the corrosion protection liner shutter, which goes inside the tunnel. I mean, this is a mock-up, okay, and then it does the work inside. Now, what I'm trying to showcase here is the machines inside the tunnel emit smoke. Then I'm just trying to show a simple method how we eliminated the impact of smoke inside the tunnel while working in the tunnel. So this is a generator. It creates smoke from the exhaust. We channel it through the water. With this water acts as a scrubber, and then clean air comes out. Okay, so this is how we do is just took a 200-liter drum and made some improvisation like this. So this is how it works inside the tunnel. And then this is the machine. This is actually a mixer car. It's a concrete mixer. The mixer works from this engine, and then the exhaust comes through this pipe through here. The water's in the drum. It goes away. So then again for this generator, the generator also works underground. We had this improvisation. So actually, you know, this is one example of, I'm just sharing from the project. So if next time, you know, you can use this as a project somewhere, you have some generator working and there's a smoke pollution, you can try this. If you are so interested on the chemistry of this, I got many charts. You can privately email to me. I can share with you, no problem. But I don't want to dwell on that. Okay, so now, earlier on in the slides of the Marina Bay, I talk something about district cooling. So now I'm going to explain about this. See, this is the, after the reclamation of the Marina Bay, they never started the buildings up front, because the area need to settle. So what was done was, they did lot of tunnels and trenches. All these blue and yellow trenches were done. So this were called CST, Common Services Tunnel. So the advantage of the CST is, once the tunnels are established, actually the tunnels run under the road. So next time when you are going to do this building, nobody need to go and dig for any sewer line or electricity line or telephone line, because all the CST, all the common service tunnels are already established. Only thing, is only the last bit of connection need to be done. But apart from that, what they also did, that they also did a district cooling system. That means in the belly of this Marina Bay Sands, underneath is this district cooling system. What this district cooling system does, it is nothing but it creates chilled water. The chilled water is see, underground cooling plant. Okay, so the chilled water is supplied through this pipe, through this common service tunnel, and to all these buildings. So in each building you have a metering for the chilled water. So this chilled water runs through your cooling system. That even your cassettes, the cooling cassette is equipped for water rather than air, for water, and then it cools down, and then the hot water goes down. So the differential, you pay for the differential temperature. You are paying for the chill water. So then the hot water comes down, and then this hot water is again used for the hot water use in the hotel. Okay, so this is an innovation for district cooling. District cooling, two innovations you have to note here. One is the common service tunnel, that means the advanced services tunnel. Second is the district cooling. Okay. So the whatever beautiful buildings I showed you upfront, almost 50-60% of those buildings, or I mean all these green highlighted buildings benefit from this district cooling. Okay. So we are talking about energy, right? So now in that regard, we talk about solar power. This is a very recent development, floating solar power. Recently, a 60 megawatt power platform floating power platform was commissioned. Earlier on, there were many projects, almost maybe 50-60% of all the building roof, including the HDB. I told you 80% of the people live in HDB. The HDB roofs are solar enabled. Now we are going to do it on floating water, because floating water means there is no shading. You see, it's all open. And also now we are doing a power pilot project whereby this floating platform we are going to do in our neighboring country of Badam. And from there, we are going to do underground cabling to power Singapore. Okay. Okay. So now we may ask, why so much power? Okay, you need for the factories, for the residences, but we should not forget the power. For our power demand is going to increase exponentially. Why? I was reading through history. In the early 90s or late 1800s, there were horse-driven carts, and the pollution was due to the manure of the horse-driven carts. That means, to put it bluntly, the horses used to shit on roads. I mean, that was unbearable. And then at the peak, even horses used to die on the roads, and that the carcasses used to lie around. That was creating pollution. That was overcome by in a way, by the gasoline vehicles. And now we are trying to mitigate by electric vehicles. So this is the blue SG initiative. I mean, actually, to put it bluntly, Singapore is a bit behind in implementing electric cars. The license for electric cars came very recently only. The Tesla, the new car, was launched only a few weeks ago. I never went and had a look. But these cars, these blue SG cars, these are sharing cars, are around since maybe a couple of years. So this is just pay and use car. No, you just become a member from a mobile phone. These cars are hooked to this post. Then when it is charged, you can drive. Then you can hook back on another post. That's it. You can see this man. He's a maintenance guy. I happened to photo him. He go and check each car is in condition. Then now there is COVID, so he cleaned the car, disinfect it. See, that's why this car is not in use. That's why he put a traffic cone here. So this is everywhere. Now see, I spoke about HDB, housing board flat. These are all housing board flat. And then even below the housing board flats, you got this car, 100% electric car sharing. And then this car is ready. So this ready to use. So side is green. If it is charging, it will be red. In the night you can see it very prominently. This post will be lit up. Okay. Okay. So this is car sharing, and so what I'm trying to say is, yeah, there will be rise in energy demand. So solar energy is a power to harness. Okay, so now see, this is the irony, and this is the dilemma. This is the paradox. This is a Shell petrol station. He's selling petrol, but here there are a few booths selling petrol. But then see, now he's selling electricity also. When you go here, he can charge your car. He says here, he say fill up your car. He say charge your car. And then I forgot. I have another photo. There is another station. He is offering you to fill your bicycle. No, that means fill your bicycle with air. Okay. So that's my favorite photo. That's near my house. I forgot to put the photo here. Okay, so we spoke about land, water, energy. Now let's talk about the built environment. Let's see how we are on time. Okay, almost 1 hour. Okay, fine. I'll quickly run through this. Okay, this is conventionally how you build a house in Singapore. That means just all conventional formwork. Then you bring a concrete pump and pump in the concrete. Here they are using a bucket. This is just only maybe for some casting. And then the houses become like this, the same like a villa in any part of the world. But only very few percentage of the people live in this kind of houses. Mostly people live, and then some people live in private housing. Okay, so just this is one of my housing projects, which I did it way back in 1997. 3 towers, 2 basement, multi-story car park. It is called Heritage View Condominium. This was a conventional construction. This is the architect gave us, the engineer gave us normal beam and slab design. But what we did is we converted into post-tension flat slab so that it is amenable to flying table construction. And post-tension slab means you can achieve early striking. Maybe 3 days, 4 days. I mean, not maybe 4 days. Maybe 6 days, 7 days can strike the formwork. You can strike the formwork fly the formwork to the next level in 6 or 7 days. This is one of my project during my early days, 1993. Yeah, my cycle is here. Okay, I did this tower. Okay, anyway, this is beside the point. I mentioned about flying table. So this is the way I quickly broach how it works. Okay, you build the column conventionally. Then see, this is a table form. Use this crane. You fly this formwork. See, now the formwork is below here. You fly it and lift it and bring it to the next level. It's a bit dangerous and risky. And then use a tower crane to do it. So now what is the alternative? It is precast or PPVC. Because now I told you this was all done ages ago. So this is old school. But now the new technique is bring my bedroom in a truck. That's what's happening. See, this truck is bringing my bedroom. It is coming from Malaysia. See, it is built in this under this factory condition. Factory condition means what? Very close monitoring of quality. Yeah. Then you bring it in a truck and deliver it, lift it, and then hoist into position. But it is not simple and straightforward. Okay. the construction part, first you have to cast the bed, then the wall. But more than that, it also involves a lot of design thinking, about the lifting. This wall should be the whole frame should be designed for lifting. And then the lifting lug should be designed so that lifting the point will not fail. And all this, the lifting frame, everything, lot of engineering is involved. See, so once it is coming to site, it is hoisted up and put into position. See, and then this is PPVC. That means, see, even the window and probably the tiling, bathroom unit, and the bathtub, everything is in place, is lifted, hoisted, and put in place. See, and then only thing, the lift core. See, you can see the lift core goes up ahead. That using some jump form or something. And I believe this shear wall, the end wall, I think is in situ. That's why you can see a climb formwork here. Okay, so anyway, I mean, to study this whole PPVC alone will involve a lot of seminars, but I can show you the way where you can study this and you can draw inspiration, then you can teach, or you can ask the students to study more or do research and things. So okay, off-site construction, the way to go. They also talk about DFMA, digital fabrication, manufacturing and assembly. That means that they're also including some computer aided simulation, what and what not. Okay, so now again, I'm repeating, 80% of the Singaporeans living in HDB flats. So these are all the HDB flats, very typical flats. But on the roof of the flats, you got beautiful garden. See, so this was my project surrounded by HDB flat. This is my old project. Okay. So again, this HDB flat is not actually it's not PPVC. I mean, just precast, because inside there is no finishing, just a bare shell. Maybe it got windows. See, now you can see the cranes, it's lifting and placing is going up. And then this is see, here you got a gantry crane. Why you have a gantry crane? Because the trailer brings and then the gantry crane uploads and then places it in position. And then see here, you see, these are all completed blocks. How you can tell it's a completed blocks? Because on the top is different, because the water tank, structure looks different. It's all typical, and the top is different because of the water tank. But here you see, still under construction. And this is the workers' quarters. Later, once it's finished, this workers' quarters go away to somewhere, and then here you'll make a school or some other facility for all these HDB flats. Okay, so HDB precast. So this is a bit old school. Earlier on, 30, 40 years ago, HDB used to, all these elements were used done using precasting. But I think in India, it is still viable to do. I'll explain why. Okay, because the lifting of precast is involved heavy lifting. This is super lift crane, because the module weigh 10, 12, 15 tons. The normal tower crane can lift only 1 or 2 or 3 tons. So you need super heavy lifting cranes, and then you need access and everything. So it's not so practical, unless you're making a new township and you're having a precast plant within your premises. But still, and then this is some visualization how they hoist and put the PPVC. All can be downloaded in this website. This one, Housing Development Board of Singapore. And there are many links in this, they are quite open. So you can do your research from this website. I don't want to dwell into this. Same way, so this is Housing Development Board for the housing board flats. This will be more relevant for Indian, what you call mass construction. But for the PPVC, for the private projects, you can go to this Building Control Authority project, if you got more information. Okay. So to summarize on this, proper roads and site access to transport the modules, high capacity cranes, and mass production for economies of scale. Okay. So now I just touch on, okay, the country is building up a lot, but still we focus on what do you call conservation. See, okay, so this is a housing boards, one very beautiful project. This is some sort of Buddhist temple. This is an Indian temple. This is an old HDB, maybe 60, 70 years ago. See, this is also conserved. Why I'm telling conserved is because very nearby, see here you can say a rig, and then here we are doing an MRT station. Okay, see, it's conservation. So here, see, near this is an abandoned terminal. Before, the train from Malaysia is to run through this terminal. Now the train is stopped. So this is being converted as an underground railway terminal. And then see how this is being conserved. Once this is conserved, it will become like this. This is an old fire station. Now this become a visitor center. Or it will be like this, an old police station. It will be conserved like this. This is an old church. I think now there are not enough people to go to a church, so they made it something like a wedding reception center, lights, music, whatever you say. Okay, so add some greenery. This is what you see in the Changi Airport. Okay, this is a museum, Lee Ching Kong Museum, also got a lot of green. This is some greenery incorporated to housing development. This is one of the tallest green wall in a public housing. It's called Treetops or something. It's a very tall building. It's called a green wall. The maintenance is not so easy, what I'm told, but it is a very, very showcase-worthy building. This is my favorite, one of the favorite building in India. So what I'm trying to say is you are not alone, but then there should be a vision to do this. Somebody had a vision. Everybody has got a vision. You have to do it. But then how this vision is created is through this coordinating agency called National Park Board. See, it is not that, because all these people like to go and do this. This is also due to certain regulatory requirements that the people go and do this. So that is coordinated by National Park Boards. So see, these are all different. You have to please go to these websites. You can learn a lot of things, these are the different trails. That means you go to these trails, then you can see which are the buildings having all these features. And not alone that, see, now I'm going to, what I'm trying to highlight is, this is a very old tree, maybe this is near my house, 100-year-old or something. This branch is weak. So NParks go and prop it, You go and prop it. He do a structural analysis and he find out what is appropriate foundation, they prop it. Okay, so if you go to this map, you can see all these, and then coincidentally, I took a photo and then I see, see, this is same, what is there, even nice fences. So, and also almost all the trees on these islands are mapped, 31K, 84.8 key. And these trees, anybody can go and map. See, he says, go and plot a tree. My daughter, this also the trees are plotted as a, school project. My daughter also plotted many projects, but you plot means they'll review. If it's correct, they accept it and put it in the map. But now people are very fast in plotting. I think almost all trees are plotted as and when it grows. Okay, so again, so there's a vision, city in a garden, how many parks and gardens, park connectors, all these, the greening getting paid off before and now, the Marina Bay, how is realized, the airport relocated. The airport was in a place called Paya Lebar, and now it is in where we see now. The Jurong Island, was relocated, now it is all something else, the bustling hubs. Okay. Okay, so now another interesting feature, the rail corridor. I told you about abandoned railway station. A train used to come from Malaysia through the causeway, which used to bring the water and used to the place where I told you abandoned railway station. The train is gone, but still we never stopped using it. See, this was taken when the train went. Now it looks like this, it's all green. See, this same place I used to go for bicycle ride, and now it become like this. This is called again green corridor. Yeah, and then there is even a map showcasing all that. See, you can see the old tracks, and then they put some pervious kind of overlay so that people can ride the bicycle. So that track stretch is finished. Now they are going to renovate the station. This is an old photo. It's called Bukit Timah. See, now they put a roof over the roof, Then they will painstakingly take out one tile by tile. They put a number, put it sidewise. Then I think they will strengthen the truss. They will not replace the truss. They will treat the wooden rafters and purlins, put it back, and then you can see the image on this. They will next time we will be able to go and enjoy the station. The tracks they didn't remove from here. Okay, the tracks are there. So then It's seen like, this is some of the people may be familiar. See, this are my this my cycle. This is my daughter's cycle. She's driving here. I wish, here also this old abandoned railway station. One day it will also gain life like this. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is incorporate landscaped areas into projects for leisure and recreation. Utilize rooftops and even intermediate levels for greenery. This is very important. Public unutilized lands also to be utilized. That means some Porongbok or anywhere, so as not to be an eyesore and a health hazard. So this is a rail mall. This is an old railway station. Now it is converted and as a mall. Okay. Okay. So now before I'm running out of time, I'll quickly brush. Okay. What is this? I've taken this photo from a construction site, and this is a school. So what you see is a noise barrier. So that means this is a very special noise resistant material we have to erect so that the sound of this construction machinery does not go to the school. This was taken before, because I do this, they have to inspect, then only they will give permission to work. Okay, they gave the permission, the cranes are here, the boring rig, the diaphragm wall machine is here, even the housing board, everywhere have to put this. Okay, it goes on, then you have to then there's a real-time noise monitoring. If the noise level exceeds, they will come and stop your work. Okay, so here the construction is going on. See, but the water is clean. See here, here also the construction is going on, the water is clean. See here also, you have to put the visual screening. That means from outside, you should not be able to see anything. Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is green and gracious builder concept. Earth and silt control measures so that you don't silt any public drains. Mainly important concept is cover bare surface as much as possible with grass, not concrete. No, that means you put either a cow grass or a buffalo grass or something. Then you mow it. It will grow very fast. You just no need to do close turfing. Just spot turfing. Grass will grow fast. Okay. So quickly. So now this was the map of Singapore railway network when I came here. Just a few railway networks here. The train used to end in Yishun, and this is what is here now. It's all densely connected. So there's a lot of development happening. But why? Because this needs to be done, a lot of coordination is required. See, this is a railway, air cooling tower. See the amount of construction going on here. See here, see, I showed you this Buddha relic museum. Very close by, the diaphragm wall construction is going on. And there is a road here, but then the road is very neat and clean. See, what you call this is called, this road diversion is called one-to-one lane replacement. That means if you got 3 lanes here, we'll replace accordingly. Put the lane marking, everything. See, there's a very old building. Okay, and see, very neat, and clean. And then I spoke about the drop inlet chamber. See, the drop inlet chambers are still maintained. That means the water comes here, it flows inside and goes to the drain. No, it doesn't go over the footpath and, yeah, okay. And see, the devolve machine is busy here. And then even, see, here there's a canal, and then there's a platform. There's one machine boring from here under the canal, and then this was taken years ago. I took this photo years ago. And then this underpass was built under this canal. See, this is the link, between those. And this is all possible because of BIM. Yesterday I heard somebody speaking very enthusiastically about BIM, and that is a prophecy. And all this will happen only if you use BIM. And then see, this is the escalator going down. And see, this another thing which I would proudly showcase here. This is a river. The river used to flow like this. You can see this river was diverted here. Before diverting, there were a lot of services, cables and all that was diverted through this bridge. Then the underground railway was built, and now the river is flowing back here. Next time when you come here, you go to this riverside here. The river is flowing here. But then sadly, this hotel New Antony, they are tearing down and they're making a new building here. But then that is regeneration. See, and then they're cleaning the river. See here, they put this boundary here. Still there is a boom here so that the dirt doesn't go here. So this is a demarcation. The contractor making this, hey contractor, your dirt is here. This is Singapore River, and this is the tourism boat's dirt. Yeah, you go and clean your own dirt. Okay, so but how I'll explain how this is possible. Why? NCE on Singapore utilities. That means all these utilities, can you can apply to all these utility boards and get permission to go and dig the underground. So that is very well coordinated. That's why you can do all these magic. And then next is standard design of road elements. That means each of these road element, is based on the length of this arrow, the point, the length of this black and white, and the height of this tree. All these are based on the standard SDRE. We don't even call this. Hey, follow SDRE. Follow SDRE based on Land Transport Authority. Also downloadable. Okay, and there is another one thing. So, okay, let me proudly showcase this guide to carry out restricted activities within railway protection zone. This is a handbook of Land Transport Authority, and all these photos from this guidebook are from my past project. This was a Buena Vista MRT and old MRT, and this was where I constructed a new underground station interfacing with this. So these are the figures. Now this is telling site planning for redirection, how you have to do it properly. And then this is a low headroom machine working near the MOE building. And then how this tunnel was built under this functioning station. Okay, this is from the guide, also downloadable from the LTA website. What I'm trying to say is, okay, you need not follow this as a Bible, but then later on, if you are building a house or developing something near a existing a railway system, you can see what are the foreseeable risk and see how you can foresee you can overcome it. Okay, so now I spoke about many agencies, but still why all these things happen is because of another scheme for Green Mark certification. Green Mark evaluates environmental performance of buildings in Singapore. This is very important. You go to the certifications website, then you can see lot of things, how this is happening, why this is happening. There is a wealth of knowledge there. I think I run out of time, and otherwise I wanted to run through the website. But anyway, now I'm not going there. So okay, so now the metro system. Okay, even India also have the metro. And proudly I can say that the Kochi metro is exactly the same Alstom, the loco which is running in the Singapore Northeast line. 715 volts, from the third conductor, and it's also got automatic system. But now I think they run on override. But if it is automatic, then what's the advantages? Okay, see this train here. It is running on 1 minute, 1 minute, 3 minutes. See, the next train is 1 minute. After that, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So 2 minutes interval. This because of automation. And plus here you can see one difference is here there is no platform screen door, but here you got a platform screen door. So what I'm trying to focus on this picture is automation, even in building and building interfacing. So automation is not alone there. See, okay, this is AGV, automated guided vehicle. This is in a hospital. No, this vehicle takes food carts to the patient. So what I'm trying to say is this AGV takes its own lift and delivers foods to the ward. So what happens? Instead of other than the passenger lift, you have to design an AGV, automated guided vehicle lift. That became a complex situation in one of my past projects. And so you can search for AGV by Swisslog. This is what is this? This is a Panasonic hospital robot. The name is Hospi. This is actually a commercial product. We use a lot of this Panasonic hospital robot. Actually, the lift also has to interface this. So because when the robot want to go, it does not know to call for a lift. But when the robot goes there, the lift comes and picks the robot. So these are all the challenges in future challenges in building design. Okay, so now the COVID. Okay, and I spoke about interconnectivity. But now I tell you the another dilemma. This is a building, this is another building here, this is another building. Then these are the roads connected by a very nice air-conditioned sky bridge. Before COVID, we could go one building another. But now there is COVID restriction. Each and every building you have to check in and check out. So you cannot go like this. You have to go by the footpath. So now we are considering that also in the building design. So COVID, see now, all these rocks, we could go and sit, but now, some rocks are, slashed out. I think not visible for social distancing. Same before this chair, 2 people could sit. Now 1 cannot. So now the capacity planning have to consider this. See, you have to go to the rail corridor before a check-in, have to scan for social, the entry limit. Okay, this was one of my old photo. In Singapore, most of the hospital wards are air-conditioned. Those days, we did a challenging project. We challenged, hey, why the hospital should be air-conditioned? It can be NV. NV is what? Naturally ventilated. So these windows can open naturally. And we were trying to test some patients whether they're happy with it. Old people were very happy, because otherwise they will say, hey, the aircon very cold, aircon very cold. Then we put fan also. This fan, otherwise you never see in Singapore. But now, in the new era, this NV is becoming a trend in building design. Very soon, the building control authority going to impose this, along with MERV 14 filtration. So I'm coming to the end, closer to the end of my presentation. So the COVID, my advice is trace, test, trace, and activate. Signage in the bus stop. So this is my trace together. Every day I check, no exposure alert. Then I can go to work. Otherwise, I have to work at home. And then the vending machine, you stand 1 meter apart, you can get your mask. Okay, so now we are going to take our journey back to wherever it came from, the Changi Airport. It is empty. Okay, we have to check in through this automated, checking machine. There is nobody there. The hall is empty. But my parting word is, okay, see, Subhana Jurong is secured affordable housing project in Gujarat, India. Subhana Jurong project to manage Pimpri Chikmagalur smart city in India. I think there is lot of brain power in India to do this project. So I think, we should form some sort of overseas entities to do these projects in India. My 2 pence worth. And another parting word. Okay, this was my alma mater in Singapore, National University of Singapore. They revamped the whole thing and they made it the zero net energy building. My wish is all our campuses should be remodeled, based on our intellectual brains, so that we can boast on some net zero energy buildings. So yeah, team up, collaborate, do projects, both local and international, and showcase our capabilities in campuses. Campuses means it can be school campus, college campus, housing campus, where maybe, yeah, see, like this. Yeah, this is my daughter wearing a mask standing in front of a backdrop. Okay, so my parting words again. Master planning, micro planning. Start from your bedroom, your backyard, your apartment, your neighborhood, institution. Plan your time as well. See, my clock is telling my time is up. Open mind. Walk, ride, take public transport. Yeah, because I could share all these photos because I walk a lot, I ride, and I take a public transport. Google is your best guru and your best assistant as well. Yeah. Network, LinkedIn. I will be sharing my LinkedIn profile in a moment, Okay. And circular economy, reduce, reuse, recycle. COVID strategy, test, trace, vaccinate. Okay, so we landed back, welcome back to wherever we started. The bag is on the conveyor. Yeah, acknowledgements to all these building agencies. I hope you will visit their website and gather more information. Okay, have a nice day. I hope, and these are my contacts. You can scan my LinkedIn, my contact number, and my email. I opened the floor for questions. Sorry if I overrun my time. Okay.
Thank you,
Sure.
sir.
Yeah.
We all felt like we were on a tour to Singapore because all the pictures and things were shown so well. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dear participants, now you can interact with our expert.
Yeah, I think, see now, I think you all had a very hectic week, and I saw the schedule. I didn't participate in the session. So yeah, but then, yeah, I think you all had a heavy session. So anything, you can always, email me or whatever, you can ask. No issue. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let me see what is in the, I think I should stop sharing, right? Should I stop sharing or what?
So, okay, sir, it's okay. Participants, please feel free to interact with our expert. Sir, may I please know when we are implementing new projects in Singapore,
Yes.
it's actually completely different from what we can do it in our country. No? The
Yeah.
attitude of the people and the way they take up new things might be a little bit different. Is it so, sir? Or
Yeah, okay, I can perfectly understand. See, what you see, the human attitude is universal. There is no doubt about it. What you see here is because of the vision of the Singapore leadership. So, and also I will tell you, all these things are not new inventions. See, this is all people go overseas, study things, and then form regulations. So I shared a lot of bodies, right? All these bodies interact, and then the important cornerstone to this is the green mark. If you go to this green mark, there is something called national green, green mark, some certification scheme. Actually, if you go that, you can get a lot of information how you can implement. Yeah.
okay, sir, thank you. Dear participants, you can interact with our expert.
Actually, one question is in the chat box, sir. Can you please check it?
Let me see. Okay. Comparing with Singapore, do these have relevant areas to the subtropical environment? Okay. This one, yes, Singapore is also a very similar environment like India. So actually, that's where now the green building concept is coming to play. How it can be achieved, you have to refer to the green building guidelines. It clearly states how it can be done, but then it will involve a lot of investment. Yeah.
Participants, any more queries from your side? Matthew, sir, can we move on to the vote of thanks?
Please proceed. It was. Please proceed for the vote of thanks.
Okay. Thank you. I'll
1 minute. 1 minute.
yeah.
Hold on.
Okay.
May I welcome Jerin Ann for the vote of thanks? Jerin?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Please continue.
A very good afternoon to all. I, Jerry Ann Thomas, Assistant Professor, Civil Engineering Department, feel extremely fortunate to present the vote of thanks for our eminent speaker, Engineer Rajan K. George, Project Manager, Singapore. Sir gave an insightful presentation on the topic Modern Trends in Civil Engineering and Construction, Singapore. Sir, we were all highly enthralled by your presentation. Sir commenced the session by discussing the land statistics of Singapore and the land reclamation projects. Sir basically spoke about the four sections about land, wastewater, and water, energy, and about the built environment. Talking about the land, Sir discussed about the traditional infilling method which we are using in Kutanad, and also about the polder development method which was used in Singapore for the land reclamation. Also, Sir explained about the Marina Bay project and about this SB project tunnel which was constructed undergoing in Singapore, wherein the different layers for sewage and underground and sewage and current power grid, underpass and malls, underground expressways are all provided. Sir also explained how efficiently the underground master plan in 2019 was launched by the government for utilizing the space. Following which, Sir went on to the water and wastewater section, where Sir discussed about the Pandan Reservoir, which is having a perimeter of 6 kilometers, and how it was also used for recreation purposes. Also following, Sir discussed about the various reservoirs such as the Pierce Reservoir, which had a reservoir both at the upstream as well as the downstream end, and how it is or how beautifying we can the area, as well as how we can at the same time prevent the areas from inundation by floods. Sir also moved on to how the 80% of flats in Singapore are HDB and the Housing Development Board. And we also saw how beneath the buildings there were also reservoirs for the passage of water, which was extremely brilliant. Sir also later went on to about the Public Utility Board guidelines, which are provided by the Singapore's National Water Agency, and the ABC program, which if anybody requires, which have to be cleared for the active, beautiful and clear water program. And also, Sir later talked about the water program, wherein Singapore relies on imported water. Basically, Sir spoke about the connection with Malaysia, wherein the pipeline was laid. And also, Sir next talked about the new water source, wherein the sewage water is treated and undergoing microfiltration process, reverse osmosis, and UV infiltration. Later on, Sir spoke about Sir's project about the deep tunnel sewage system, where we all saw the 40 to 50 meter treatment tunnel, which was used for collecting the sewage water before instead of directly sending it to the wastewater treatment plant. Following which, Sir had spoken about the energy systems that was used over there. In that, which Sir had spoken about two remarkable contributions. One being the CST, which is the Common Service Tunnel, and the district cooling system, which was provided before the construction, which helped in providing, where the district cooling system helped in providing the chilling water system, and also the hot water was supplied before the construction of the Marina Bay. Following which, Sir had also spoken about the floating power platform commissioned, and how the power generation or the need for power is highly to increase. Later on, Sir had moved on to the built environment, wherein inbuilt environment, Sir, where Sir had mentioned about the post-tension flat slab systems and the PPVC systems, the prefabricated, pre-finished volumetric construction systems, which are almost or which are actually made up of concrete with 80% of the interior fittings already. Then Sir spoke on to the next session was about city in a garden, wherein Sir showed pictures of how we can integrate nature into the built environment, and also establish the need for incorporating the landscape areas into projects for leisure as well as recreation. The public unutilized lands to be landscaped so as not to be a health hazard was also a suggestion that Sir had put forward. Sir had also mentioned about having green and gracious builder concepts, and also to cover the bare surfaces as much as possible with grass and not with concrete. Sir had also later mentioned about the various activities, or Sir also mentioned about the guideline so as to carry out the restricted activities within the railway protection and safety zone, and the SDRE code also was provided. Later on, Sir had mentioned about the Green Mark certification system, which evaluates the environmental performance of the buildings in Singapore. And Sir had spoken about the Subana Jurong Secures Affordably, the project which is developed in Gujarat, and how the campuses should be remodeled to make zero energy buildings. Thank you, Sir. On behalf of the Civil Engineering Department, Sir, we thank you for taking time for us and for sharing your vision with us. Thank you, Sir.
Great. It was a very great recap. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Engineer Rajan.
Sir, next, sir, can we have a photo session?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sir, could you please stop presenting your screen? So I request all the participants to kindly
Sure.
turn on your cameras.
Jarin, hope the photos are taken, Jarin.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Dear participants.
Dear participants, thank you for switching on your video. We have taken the photos. Thank you all. Matthew sir, should we directly move on to the valedictory function now?
I think we can have a 5 minutes break or directly.
So then we will start at 3:45. Will that be okay?
Yeah, 3:45 we will.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay. Dear participants,